This is The Gorge. It's a podcast where my friend Sarah and I gorge ourselves on what's happening in the world of video games and entertainment.
Happy New Year, everyone. The Gorge is brought to you by Patreon. That's patreon.com/thegorge, where for just $5 a month, you gain access to not one, but two entire podcasts. $5 gets you Takeout, a monthly commentary track where Ben and I decide we don't feel like putting in any work to play something, so we just watch something and talk over it instead. And $2, if you only want one podcast, or you only have $2 a month to spare, which is fair. I've bought eggs lately. $2, Aquarium Pals, a monthly series where Ben, myself, Saturn, and Oates get together. We sit down and we play just one of the MSQ roulettes in Final Fantasy XIV, and we talk and say some of the more deranged things you've ever heard in your entire life. It's good. It also gets you the entire back catalog of That's Hell You're Walking Into, a monthly series that doesn't exist anymore. Or we don't do anymore, I guess I should say, where Ben would ask me questions about Fate Stay Night, Fate Grand Order, and the extended Nasuverse, and I would do my best to answer it. I can hear this spiel I say in my sleep. Head on over to patreon.com/thegorge. Kick in however much you can. We appreciate every single dollar. Thank you.
One day I'm just going to record. We're just going to sit down and record it, and I'm just going to put it in front of every episode.
No, because it's funny whenever I fuck it up. the rare times. This is replaced. So I used to work at GameStop when I was in high school, and for years and years and years afterwards, every time I answered the phone, there was like a little part of my brain that was like, "Thank you for calling GameStop, where you can buy, sell, and trade used games. This is Sarah. How can I help you?" Like that would flash in my head. And this has begun to replace that as, like, the thing I hear in my sleep, like a sleep paralysis demon. So,
no,
you know.
I get that, too, because at work, the number of voicemails I have to leave, whenever I have to call someone in my personal life and leave my phone number, I'm like, oh, right, it's like I have to stop myself from giving out my work number.
Right, absolutely. I totally understand. I answer the phone like I'm working all the time. Anytime I answer, I don't ever say hello anymore, like a normal person. When I answer the phone, I just answer like, "This is Sarah." And it's like, oh, well, you've become one of those people. That's great.
You've probably noticed it. I've gotten tired enough in the group calls where I like slip into customer service voice.
Yeah, it just happens, and you're not even thinking about it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, no, I could put more emotion into this.
I could probably emote more with my friends. They're my friends. They love me and care about me.
I can really not just like spout a bunch of generic platitudes in response to conversation. I can put some effort into it.
It's better than what I do, which is I sleep through work meetings, because like I take my laptop and I put the work meeting on, and then I go to my bed and I sleep in my bed while the meeting is happening. And because nobody ever asked me any questions, I'm just an artist, right? Like I'm an extremely like low-ranking artist. Nobody ever asked me for like any genuine input, so I'm always just like, oh, it's a good time to take a nap now. 30, 45-minute little cat nap in the middle of the day, you know?
There you go.
It's perfect. Anyways, we should do an episode now.
Yes, we should. It is our first episode of the month where we are catching up on what we've been doing and what's been happening since the end of the year.
Oops.
So,
I got bad news.
What have you been doing?
Oopsie. I started another live service game like a maniac for some reason.
What?
I actually know the exact like step-by-step like way it happened, because so we mentioned in the last roundup that, and in the Game of the Year episode, the Gorgies, we mentioned that I had started playing Fallout 4 again, and I'm still playing Fallout 4. But Saturn and Oates were having troubles with the game running on their systems. And I mentioned to Oates kind of vaguely, I was like, well, I know 76 has gotten better, and I like playing video games with my friends, and like, you know, we were kind of just talking about it, and we brought up the fact that like it has a really good radio station. And it was like, oh, well, hey, it's $10 on Steam.
What if we just all started playing Fallout 76?
And then we did. And now I have over 70 hours in the game already.
So what we have to do here on The Gorge is issue a formal apology for the History of Fallout 76 episode we did.
It's true. I have to formally apologize to Bethesda Austin, and all of the additional developers that have worked on Fallout 76. Granted, when it first came out, it was not a good video game. But in the intervening years, it has become an interesting video game. It has become a video game. I can only describe it as a video game with an identity crisis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because 76 is ostensibly trying to do the Final Fantasy XIV thing, where there's like, it had a rough launch, but with subsequent DLCs and stuff, they've added more functionality, they've made it play better, it runs better. They're trying to like integrate story and skill checks, and they want it to be more solo friendly. And that's all well and good, but like, so it has this story, and you're incentivized to kind of putter around and collect things and do the story and take your time. But unlike Final Fantasy XIV, which has made a lot of systems to support totally playing by yourself. Like, you can 100% play all of Final Fantasy XIV at this point up to Stormblood without ever interacting with another player except to do Crystal Tower, right?
Well, no, you do have to do some. You have to do the Alliance raids.
That's Crystal Tower.
Oh, I thought you meant Crystalline Conflict. Sorry.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, Crystal Tower. Yeah, the Crystal Tower raids. You have to do those Alliance raids, and that's really the first time you'll be forced to interact with other people. Otherwise, every single plot dungeon you can now play with duty support, and that's great. The problem is that 76 doesn't have any kind of systems in place to let you do that, which has caused a great deal of consternation on my part. And also 76 is extremely geared toward very specific play styles that I don't like playing Fallout games as. Like, 76 is essentially built around power armor, melee, and big guns builds, right?
Right, yeah.
Like the game, like you can solo a lot of content if you're doing that. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to do anything else, everything has way too much HP. It's just all enemies are way too tanky. They aggro to you super hard. And it has a lot of these very weird systems in place that don't reward. And
you're never given anything to mitigate it,
right? Like they're no
companion or a quick ability to help prevent that thing without just getting people together to do it.
Right. There's no like you don't even get a dog, right? Yeah. They don't even if you had a dog that could act as like a distraction to enemies and stuff, that would help a lot, but you don't even have that. There's so many of these little pieces that are missing. So you're meant to play with friends, which is fine because I do usually play with friends now. But it's hard to play with friends when you're trying to like read cutscenes and go like in depth because like they don't want to wait around for you. They want to go off and do their own thing, Very weird game. It helps. There's a couple of systems in place to kind of help because like if you're in a party with people, you can teleport to them instantly for free. Little things like that. Of course, the teleportation system is extremely broken and will sometimes put you 100 yards away from where your friends are.
They will put you outside of the sphere of influence where like you can see how many meters away they are.
Right, and so you just kind of have to book it toward them and hope they don't die in the intervening moments. So there's like a lot of weird little things like that. And then what else? It wants to have the Fallout 4 gathering and building loop, but it can't because of the limitations on your stash and how much space you can put in your finger quotes settlements.
Right, like your campsite is not very big.
Right. And
and
you
you
can't
also
store a lot of stuff inside that camp, right?
yeah, you do not get nearly like even vanilla like building in Fallout 4, even without the the copious amounts of mods that we've shoved into Fallout 4.
Mm-hmm.
If I think back to like the PS4, like it was a very robust system.
Yeah,
Of
absolutely.
crafting and building.
You could get really fun and creative even with, I mean, I built a lot of really cool things unmodded on my PlayStation 4 back in the day. But like they've instituted these new bad rules about like you can't just have like a floating floor or things like that. They have to be connected. There has to be supports. It has to be connected. All of these little things that are just like, why'd you make it this? It's so limiting and restricting and like it's still fun. Obviously, I love building in Fallout games, but it's just it doesn't feel quite the same,
Yeah, it does not. It doesn't. The sheer number of options aren't there in terms of building materials.
Yeah.
Well,
you have to also unlock all of your building
find
materials.
Them,
yeah, exactly.
The annoying thing is you have to actually go out and find recipes for walls, for different types of floors and whatnot.
For everything.
Yeah, for every single object in the game needs to have a plan to build it.
And it's like, I guess that's trying to replicate the Bethesda go out and, get scrap and get a magazine, but it doesn't quite work.
It's the thing that I really hate a lot in RPGs, which is the double unlock.
Yeah.
Because it was the same thing. I also hated it in, like, FF12. It's not even that you have to get the equipment. You have to also get the license to equip the equipment.
Right, yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, I'm not... That's really just not fun to me. Like, I am obviously still enjoying playing it because playing any video game is improved with the addition of friends. But it's not a game I really would ever play by myself. I tried to solo play for a while, and it mostly just made me very unhappy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I necessarily recommend Fallout 76. I don't think I do, unless you're going to play it with people you know.
If they could just take the Fallout 76 storyline and environment and backport it into the Fallout 4 engine and let you play it single player.
I mean, yeah, if they could just like put the game out as a single player experience, I would be perfectly happy. Like if you could just take it totally offline and then and then to adjust for that, you adjust the balancing of like enemy HP and stuff like that, so that everything isn't so fucking tanky. Like, that's pretty good, I think. I think that's actually interesting. But as it stands right now, it's a game to play with friends, and I enjoy it, but I don't love it. But I also think there's enough quality of life changes and interesting writing decisions that I am excited for Starfield.
Yeah.
Like, even more so.
I keep going back to that idea. Which is, you look at the pillars that Fallout 4 and 76 are built off of, and you think, oh, Starfield's going to be really good.
Starfield actually has the opportunity to be extremely good, even if it's very broken on launch, because, again, we don't care about that. Yeah. We played a lot of time in Fallout 4. I think Starfield actually has the chance to be quite good, because of, like, there also are some smart things with building that I really like. Being able to apply wallpaper and swap out parts without having to like totally tear the whole structure down.
Yeah, I love the sorting.
Yes, much better.
76 has, where it's like here's all the versions of the wall. Here's a wall that's just blank. Here's a wall that has a window. Here's a wall that has a door frame. Yeah,
it's much better. And then, like, in terms of story and writing and stuff, too, I think there's a lot of good and interesting things. 76 has for real role-playing. You know, you can actually, like, if you spec into certain special stats, then that unlocks dialogue options for you, and that can help you solve a problem without violence. I'm playing a high-end character right now, and that high-end character was like, I was able to circumvent 2 like little piddly quests that would have normally sent me off to go fight some guys to collect a thing, and I was able to like use my intelligence to convince somebody like, no, I actually know what I'm talking about and you need to listen to me. And they did, right? Like, imagine that.
Crazy.
Hey, look at that. And there's like a lot of other small things. If your perception is high enough, you'll notice things in the environment, in quests. There's a lot of like good stuff in there. I think that's why I mean by 76 having such an identity crisis, because it truly feels like there are 2 halves of a video game in here and they're not coalescing at all. Right?
I also do love the perk system.
Perk system is actually interesting. Yeah, I actually think it's quite good to swap them out like cards, and it lets you get really creative with your perks. You can have different perk loadouts. You can actually have multiple different loadouts for like, if you want to play a strength build, then you load that in. If you want to play a charisma build, then you can put that in instead. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. All of the monetization stuff, none of it is very egregious. It's all cosmetic stuff. Like you get some benefits to spending money. Like Fallout First, people get like additional storage space for their camps. And if you spend some money, you can get like XP boosters and things like that. But honestly, the progression has not been so miserable.
No, it really hasn't. Like I've never run. Like, it's challenging, but I've never run into an encounter that I felt was, like, intended to convince you to buy stuff off the market board, Right,
yeah, exactly. So, like, yeah, it's a very interesting game. I think what it is now is fascinating. It's better than Fallout 3, and probably better than Fallout 4 in a lot of ways, but also in a lot of ways it isn't better than Fallout 4. Very strange game. But I like it, obviously. I wouldn't, if I didn't like it at least a little bit. I don't love it, but I like it, and that's enough to put 60 hours into it if I'm playing it with people I know, right?
Right, yeah.
Which is enough. So, yeah, interesting game.
Yeah.
Starfield's gonna be really good. That's the important part.
Starfield's gonna be so good.
Starfield's gonna be extremely good.
Oh my god. I can't wait.
all we said is that all Starfield needs to be is like Fallout 4 but more, and that's what 76 basically is. So yeah, Starfield is going to be good to our standards, I should say. So but other than that, I played more Fallout 4. What to say about that really briefly. Forville is good, but that is a mod that is, 1, broken. There's an XO patch. Go download it before you actually play the mod. It helps fix a lot of things. And 2 is not very good about telling you where you need to go next.
No, they made that a point in the mod description. Be like, we don't hold your hand for like pointing out like map markers and stuff. And then I'm like, you kind of could do that though.
Probably should have done it a little bit. I actually had to ask on the subreddit. I was like, how do I advance this plot? I had to ask the Fallout Mod subreddit, and I got the most insane answer, and I haven't tried it yet, but I'm thinking it actually might work. Okay, so for example, Warwick Farm, right?
Yeah.
You can collect melons for the daughter at Warwick Farm, or Abernathy Farm, right outside Sanctuary, and she'll give you 5 caps for each. Right. This is an easy way to make some cheap money on the side, like at the beginning of the game. There is an NPC in Forville who runs the museum, and after you do his main quest for him, he has a little, what I assumed was Radiant quests, asking you to bring him military folders. And I was like, okay, so that's another way to just make a couple of caps on the side.
Right.
No! You bring him military folders, and apparently then you wait a couple days and go talk to him, and he says he's working on decoding something. Will you bring him more? You have to do this for 3 rounds, and then it unlocks I almost lost connection to the servers for a second there. Anyways, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
I'm just going to real quick stop this to make sure your audio picked up for all that, and then we can start a new track. So I'm going to do that real quick. All right, where were we?
Small technical difficulty.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Oh, right, the folders. So it sends you out, and you're supposed to do like 3 rounds of getting military folders for him, which are, by the way, just a randomly spawning thing in the environment, the way that, like, you know, blank folders in Fallout 4?
Yeah.
They're like that. They just kind of appear in military locations. They're not, like, specific objects that you need to go get. So you do that for 3 rounds, and then he apparently sends you on a mission that can result in you getting an object that will unlock the next step of the quest in the vault. That's insane.
Oh, okay.
That's insane. That's a crazy person's way of making a mod. Like,
yeah.
What? Okay, sure. So, because I have done every quest in Forville. They're good, mind you.
Yeah.
Good voice acting and good writing, all that shit, but it's just like, that's insane.
The structure is like so messed up.
You have got to give more direction. Granted, it seems like Forville was such a stressful experience that for him that he has not made another mod since, and it's been 2 years. Oops. But yeah, no. It's a hell of a thing. I still recommend it because it's impressive just in its scope and
right.
like it's what's the word I'm looking for? Confidence, like its ability to just be like, ambition, absolutely. But it definitely could have still had a few more patches. There are fan patches out there, thank God, but still.
Forville reminds me a lot of, remember a couple of years ago when I did that playthrough of Chrono Trigger Plus?
Yes.
Which is like the enhanced fan port of Chrono Trigger that has like added 1999 as a walkable environment and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I said, like, it's really cool and it's an ambitious project, but the actual 1999 area is kind of dull and like not really built smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel a lot about Forville. It's a very ambitious project with a lot of effort and stuff put into it. But I would not mistake it for Fallout content.
No, you could not mistake it for actual Bethesda-made stuff. Like, it has a lot of really interesting dungeons and stuff in it, but the actual city, no, absolutely not.
There's stuff in like Tales from the Commonwealth where I'm like, was this in the game and I just missed it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason Chris Takahashi works for Bethesda now.
Yeah. So yeah, Forville is really good. And I am enjoying it, but like, yeah, there are just some parts of it where I'm just like, you could have like made that a little more conducive. You should have
Pointed people in certain directions better.
Yeah.
You know?
Like the quest where you have to find Mr. Abominable.
Yes.
And it's like, go west. Okay, the vault is on the East Coast. West is the map.
The west is the literal rest of Boston. You don't understand. Literally, the entrance to Vault 4, if you don't know, if you've never played it, is on the water.
It faces the ocean.
It's facing the Atlantic Ocean. So, like, you could not possibly... Everything is west of Vault 4, you know? So you need to be a little bit more... And the thing is that the way it's phrased, it's like, well, it was out west. The thing is that you're making a mod for a Fallout game. If someone says it was out west, you know what I think of? Vegas and California.
Yeah.
Actual Western settings for Fallout. Like, I'm sorry. No,
you need to put a marker on your map to tell us where to
go. You need to actually put a for real, say you need to move your sorry ass right here. Here's where the goddamn cave is. Now go there, okay? There's a lot of interesting stuff in there, though. There's some legitimately spooky stuff and, like, really well-made stuff. There's cool ideas. It's a mixed bag. But you should still play it. I think it's worth it. Download that patch first, though.
It is also incredibly hilarious. I say this a lot. I don't think I've ever said it on content, but like, whenever you play a group effort made fan content for Fallout 4, and you just hear the vast ocean of mic quality.
Yeah, there are people who are also recording on their blue snowballs, but they're not making a little podcast.
Yeah,
you know?
Fortville has a pair of twin brothers who are weirdo goofballs who like always finish each other's sentences and talk one after the other. And it would be fine if one of them didn't have a way better mic than the other.
Yeah, it's fine.
The other thing I noticed about like downloading all of these voiced, patches, mods and stuff is that boy, the Soul Survivor has a lot more dialogue than I thought they did.
They have so much dialogue. Oh my god, there's actually a really cool tool out there now that it's a little janky, but there's a tool that actually constructs lines for you using all the voice clips from the game. And that's actually how, there was that Point Lookout mod, which I haven't even had a chance to play yet because I have so much content in 4 now.
Right.
And the protagonist in that isn't voiced because the Fallout 3 protagonist isn't voiced. But somebody did a patch, like a fan patch, to put voice acting in, and it was that they used that tool to like use a machine to construct the lines. And sometimes it sounds like it for sure, but it's still really impressive because you realize just how much dialogue is in, how much dialogue had to be recorded for the main character.
Right. I'm sure it sounds better than spliced sentences from, say, like a Team Fortress 2 Gmod video back in the day.
Yeah. But anyway, is there anything else I wanted to say about that before we move on? I don't think so. No. There's a lot of really good stuff out there. I guess the one thing I will say is that I remember when Fallout 4 came out and everybody was saying that it could never have as big of a mod scene as, say, New Vegas because it was so limited by the voice protagonist. And now it's the 3rd most popular game on the Nexus. So it shows what anybody knows ever.
Right.
So
we'll make it work.
We'll make it work. The point is that Starfield is going to be good. Starfield only looks good to me now, right? Yeah. But that's it. I fell in a Fallout hole at the beginning of the year, like I tend to do. So.
Well, we do also have the 14 patch to talk about, but before that,
sure,
I'll get through some of my stuff because my stuff will be quick. I started 2 other games.
Okay.
Besides Fallout 4, Fallout 76, and FF14. I started Neon White.
Yes, we're doing an episode on that one.
Yes. That is Hades level of addicting.
Oh, good. Great.
That is me going, all right, I'm going to do one more. All right,
absolutely.
I'm going to do one more.
Yeah.
One more.
Yeah.
I make it a point to, because there's 4 tiers of timing you can get. Bronze, silver, gold, and diamond, or like diamond or ace, I think they call it.
Okay.
So, and you only up your neon, your rank by getting gold or diamond. Right? So like you have to get one of those in order to actually like increase your rank, and you need to get a certain level of rank to advance a story. So like you need to gold some amount of levels.
Right.
I am golding every level.
Yeah.
And I'm also not stopping until I beat at least one person on my friendless leaderboard.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not sitting in the last. I am at least moving up 1.
I have to, you've got to at least beat somebody I love that.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic game. It plays phenomenal. The level design is so clever.
Oh, yeah?
Because there's one thing that like blew my mind, which is the idea of it is you run through it, you have to kill every demon, and then you get to the checkpoint, the end goal, right? And there's abilities that you use. You have a card-based system where you get guns that you can discard to do an effect. Like the purple machine gun is if you discard it, you shoot a grenade that you can sticky jump off of.
Oh, fun. Okay.
The yellow pistol, you just get a straight up double jump by discarding it.
Okay.
And it's built around the level's built around you picking those cards up and then using them to traverse around a set path. And it's all really, really smartly designed. You're not intentionally swapping. The card you need will be in front of you before you need to use it.
Right.
When you get to I think silver rank, you unlock the shortcut.
Oh.
Which is there will be a point. So say that there's a level where you have to there's these demons that are giant balloons that you can bounce on to traverse across a pit, right? You hit them and you dash into them and then you bounce off them.
Yeah, of course.
There's a line of them going upward. Well, when you unlock the silver, the shortcut, you'll see a little sun icon off to the side. That's well, instead of going straight, if you make a hard right, you can skip this whole little area.
Oh.
And just go this way instead, and fall down and go this way instead.
Okay.
And it's oh, you not only designed the levels to have this excellent sense of flow and making sure the player is always facing the direction you want them to go in. But you're also but we're gonna put a little shortcut in here that you can use.
They've come up with multiple ways to kind of traverse. That sounds great. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's incredible. It's one of the best games like this I've ever played. The characters are all great. It is hilarious hearing Steve Bloom be this much of a simp.
It's incredible they got Steve Bloom for this fucking indie game. It's so funny to me. Good for him.
All the characters are really, really fun. The dialogue can be a little cringe sometimes, but it's fine.
That's fine. I'm sure it's cringe on purpose, so who cares?
So that's really, really good. Yeah, we'll do an episode on that, so I have more to talk about that next week when we get to that. I also finally, speaking of anime games with kind of cringe dialogue, I finally started Persona 5 Strikers.
Whoa! Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Tell me about that.
It's fun. It is a really, really good Muso. They really incorporate your moveset, your actual Persona RPG moveset, your spells and whatnot, into it really smartly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, where you hold on a button and you can cast the spell in an AoE effect.
Okay.
So it's really it shows in FF14 when you're in the mech in MSQ and it has a little radial bomb you can shoot.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Okay.
You just set a marker, you aim it correctly and you throw down Agi and it causes all those shadows to burst into flame.
Oh, that's fun. Okay.
Yeah. It's still really weird that this is just a straight up sequel to Persona 5.
Yeah, it's very strange to me that
it picks up right where Persona 5 left off.
It's very weird to me that it is a sequel to. This is a distinction that has to be made. It's a sequel to Persona 5, not Persona 5 Royal.
Right. There's two Persona 5 timelines.
Yeah. It's not Persona 4, for example. The Golden just became the canon timeline, right?
They when Arena and Ultimax came out, they shoehorned Marie and Golden content into the backstory.
Yeah, exactly. Marie got added as a fighter, because there was an Adachi social link, he got added as a fighter. All of this stuff that is from the Golden, that just going forward became the timeline. It's extremely weird and very schizophrenic to me that Royal, by all accounts, adds a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
It adds a lot of really plot important stuff, including an entire new character, who is very important. An entire new member of the Phantom Thieves who's important. And it's just that Strikers doesn't add her. Very weird to me.
Yeah.
Right? I guess
Very
it's fine
strange.
because it's weird. I guess it's fine because neither of us have played Royal, so I suppose
Right.
in that way it just flows fine, but still.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm not very far in that because Neon White took over my other free time. But it is nice to see these guys again.
Sure, these idiot kids that we love so much.
It's been a very long time since I've seen them, and it's good to be back.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's right, my friends. I love these stupid asshole kids.
It is also really weird to hear like the upperclassmen talk about college.
Oh yeah, like Makoto is in college now.
Yeah, Makoto and Haru are in college.
Weird. How strange. Actually have Persona characters talk about going to college.
Like they aged.
They
got older.
They actually left. That's like, I guess, maybe someday we're never gonna get that Persona 5 fighting game because they're so afraid to show the Persona 4's grown up.
Right.
They're never gonna do it. Damn it.
They were allowed to do it for 3, but they can't do it for 4.
No. I want that fighting game still. Oh well. But no, yeah, I want to play Strikers at some point. It was the free. I got it for free, and if I restarted my PlayStation Plus subscription, I'd be able to play it. But I did cancel that. Mm-hmm. But I got it for free through my PS Plus subscription, so I assume if I restart it, I should be able to just download it and play it again. I think it works like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's nice.
But yeah, 14.6.3.
It was short. I don't really have too much to say about it. It was really short. It was just like fine.
It was mostly an afternoon. We cleared it.
Yeah, like I remember 6.1 and 6.2 taking like with 6.1 and 6.2, I had to do all of MSQ in a night, and then the next day I did the adjacent raid content, right?
Right.
For 6.3, I was done with the story content so fast that if we hadn't decided as a group, by the way, join the Gorge Discord, because we did a day 1 run of Euphrosyne together. It was a day 2 blind run of Euphrosyne, yeah. But still. If we hadn't decided to all do that as a group, then I would have had time to also run Euphrosyne. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
That's how short it was, because I was done with it super, super fast. And it was fine. It felt very bare bones. I guess because they don't know. Normally 6.3 is where the plot from the previous expansion would be wrapped up. Like 5.3 right. is where you fight Elidibus, and 4.3 is where you fought Tsukiyomi, Mm-hmm. But because obviously they're doing something different here, it didn't work that way.
Right.
So they were like, shit, what do we do? And you can kind of tell because it feels very short as they're building up to something else. The new dungeon is really good. I like it a lot.
Lapis Manalis is a fantastic dungeon.
Lapis Manalis is a really fun dungeon. I wish it had good gear drops, but whatever.
Yeah, but the fights are all really, really good. The bosses in it are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. And the new trial is really good.
Yeah, new trial is great.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. It's so hectic.
It's chaos. I still like Barbaricha more because I just like the madness of Barbaricha because there's just so much going on all of the time in Barbaricha. But I like Rubicante a lot, actually. Yeah.
Euphrosyne, I think, is the highlight, though.
Euphrosyne is incredible. Absolutely.
My favorite Alliance raid now.
Yeah, absolutely. Euphrosyne is just, it is also chaos, but in a really fun way.
Yeah. There is no point in Euphrosyne where it drags.
No, it just keeps going.
Every other Alliance raid I've done has at least one fight that I don't like. Mm-hmm. This one is the first one where there's no, every fight is really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really fun. The music is incredible. I will say the theme that plays before you fight Menfina, like the battle theme that plays before Menfina.
The fiddle?
The fiddle is extremely good. I actually like the vocal track from Aglaya more. The Nuldal theme.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Definitely.
I actually I think the Menfina voice theme is good, but I just like the vibes of the Nuldal theme more.
Me
but
too.
The fucking fiddle song that plays for all of the other fights is incredible, right? It's so good.
We're gonna have a motherfucking hoedown here.
We're gonna swing your partner do-si-do as you're just like running around screaming from these gods. By the way, not gods. Called it.
Nope. You were right.
All right. I was right. Music to my ears to have people show up, post in the Final Fantasy 14 chat and go, Sara was right. And it's like, I know I'm right. They're not gods. So they are. I am a little disappointed that they're ancient adjacent, because I was hoping it would be something more interesting. But that's mostly because I've also been playing Fate Grand Order. And I've been doing Olympus and Fate Grand Order, where the gods in that are, spaceships from beyond the stars.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that's cool. So I was really hoping that the gods were also some sort of alien.
Yeah, we'll see. They still have a lot to do to really fill it out.
Sure, it could still be interesting, I think, but I think they can still make it interesting. But I was really hoping they would also be aliens, like the dragons, So.
But hey, how about that last shot of 6.3 though?
Oh my god, yes, holy shit. It took me a second to realize what you were talking about. Yeah, hey, despite how kind of meh I think the plot of 6.3 was, the final shot of 6.3 is incredible.
It's fucking cool.
I knew that Golbez was gonna be on the moon because it's Final Fantasy IV, and the whole thing about Final Fantasy IV is we gotta go to the moon to kick Golbez's ass. But it revealing that Golbez is in the same place on that moon that Zodiark was locked up on the Source's moon is just like, oh, okay.
Okay, all
right. I'm paying attention now, Final Fantasy 14.
I see what you're doing.
Now, but this is very interesting to me because I'm wondering, with the next two patches, it will, despite the fact that they're doing something a little different plot-wise, it still has to build toward 7.0, right?
Right.
But what is that going to entail?
What is that
going to look like?
This is wrapping up a pretty self-contained thing as far as we can tell.
So, but maybe it's not though. I don't know. Maybe the moon. It would be cool if 7.0 was about going to multiple shards instead, and the travel point between each of them is the moon. Right?
Yeah, it would be kind of cool to do a world tour to wrap it all up. You introduced this concept of these multiple realities, and we've only gone to two of them, and both of them were fucked up.
Both of them are fucked up, and it'd be really cool if 7.0 was about, because 7.0 is also supposed to be a big the next big kind of story, not a reboot, but going forward 7.0 is going to be a lot of new different shit is what they keep saying, right? Mm-hmm. So it's okay, that's cool. What is that going to look like? Or is it going to become a thing where they're going to be new, big hub cities on each of the different shards? That would be cool. I don't know. There's a lot of options, right? So I'm really hoping we do something fun with that going forward. What else? I think that's it about 6.3.
That is about it. Yeah, I think, like I said before, I like fighting a big scary guy in giant armor.
Yes.
And his four henchmen.
Yeah, his three evil henchmen and the one noble guy. They did Rubicante great, by the way. It's the one complaint I have about 6.3 is that Rubicante just isn't in it enough.
Yeah,
he just kind of shows up at the very end and then gets his ass beat. And it's like, well, I was very noble and wonderful. Goodbye, they should have had Rubicante show up a little bit more throughout the plot because he's really good. It's an A+ rendition of that character. They did not change shit about that design, and they just made it work, and it rules.
No, I haven't played FF4, but I could see the Amano artwork.
Yeah, he's just a lovingly 3D rendered Amano design, and it's just beautiful. Like, they could have really cheaped out and made him not look so just like a naked guy in a cape. Like, they could have given him real clothes, but no, they were like, no, he's a naked guy in a cape, and it's a cool design, and he's bald, and we're gonna make it look cool. And you know what? They did. Good for them. They made it work. He looks awesome.
I just when I see the four lords, all I can think of is that bit in the DBZA movies where Piccolo is like, "All right, what's your gimmick? Which one of you is the big stupid one? Which one of you is the pretty one? Which one has the weird powers?"
That's right, and we actually did exactly that, huh? Yeah. It's good. Okay. I think that's everything. I think we covered our bases. That's
about it for me, yeah.
Okay. Want to talk to me about some news? Want to tell me some news stories, Ben?
Yes. Yuji Naka indicted in Square Enix insider trading case.
We can't keep starting with Yuji Naka stories.
So this is not a new arrest. This is just expanding on the details of his previous arrest. But I wanted to start the news cycle with this.
You just wanted to start with another story dunking on Yuji Naka. I see how it is. So he's been formally indicted now, right? Okay.
So it's moving along, and
Okay.
This next one I also put just because every single word in it makes me hurt.
Oh no.
These are all very bad words to say. So, Hogwarts Legacy transphobia controversy fuels Reddit drama.
Oh, Ben.
I don't like any of those words.
I don't like any of those words. Why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to yourself? Yeah, what? No. What is the details?
I mean, it is what it says it is.
Oh, it's just people being shitty on Reddit. And don't buy Hogwarts Legacy. It doesn't even look that... One, it doesn't look that good. Two, you're giving money to a transphobe. Three, the story itself is just grotesque. 4, don't do it. Grow up. Read another book. Buy another video game. There are so many other video games out there that will be better and worth your time.
Every time I see someone like on Twitter who's like, well, I'm going to buy 2 copies of Hogwarts Legacy to stick it to you trans people, all I can think of is that scene in The Simpsons where he bites into a lemon. And tries to smile through it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no,
it's like, haha, idiots, I'm gonna play this bad game now.
I'm gonna play this bad game now because I have to keep taking L's. And it's like, okay, good work. And it's like, I don't know, it goes back to the whole fucking Blizzard thing where it's just like, sometimes talking about video games can be really dire because people can't even resist not buying one game.
Right.
It's like, it's the same thing where people are like, well, I can't not eat Chick-fil-A. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Really easily. It's actually really easy to not eat Chick-fil-A. I live in the deep south, where Chick-fil-A is basically a cultural thing, and I don't eat Chick-fil-A. Right?
It's actually really easy to avoid mediocre product.
Yeah, and even if it was good product, before all the shit came out, I do like Chick-fil-A sandwiches, but also, so what? I can get chicken sandwiches anywhere.
Yeah,
it's not Popeyes. It's the same thing.
It's not like you're saying you can't play any video game.
Yeah, it's like have some, have a spine, have some backbone. Don't play Blizzard games and don't buy Hogwarts Legacy. It's not hard.
It's not going to be a good game anyway.
It's not going to be a good game, but even if it were good, the thing is that even if it were good, there are other good video games to play that won't implicitly, because J.K. Rowling has just straight up come out and said that if you buy her shit, she takes it as an implicit endorsement of her beliefs, right? you can buy other things. It's not hard, right? Like,
Yeah.
get anything else. I'm sorry, there are other good open world games out there that you will like just as much. So,
like,
sorry.
This one is the easiest ever because it's the most direct ever. It's J.K. Rowling herself said this.
Yeah, she literally said it herself with her own mouth.
It's not like Bobby Kotick, like even Blizzard. It's not like Bobby Kotick was like, if you play Overwatch 2, that means you agree with me that bitches should learn to shut up.
Right? Yeah, exactly. No, she's literally straight up saying it. It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe you just play. It comes down to the same thing I always say with Harry Potter. Read another book.
Yeah.
Read another book.
But it was my childhood. Bitch, my childhood was Earthworm Jim, and I learned to slam Doug TenNapel in the trash can.
Yeah, Doug TenNapel and Tommy Tallarico are both like extremely easy targets now. Why would you keep...
I mean, it's actually really easy to avoid Tommy Tallarico products because he doesn't have any.
Because he doesn't actually make anything. Next.
He wasn't even on MTV's Cribs.
He wasn't even on Cribs. Can't believe him. Who lies about being on Cribs?
He wasn't even on fucking Cribs. This is the easiest one to prove wrong.
It's the easiest one to prove wrong. And the fact that he says, like, yeah, I was on Cribs multiple times. Bro, that's not how that show worked.
No. I don't even think that's his house.
That's probably not his house.
I think that's
probably
just
somebody else's tacky nerd house.
I think that's just some other weird nerd guy that he just like knows, and he like did a thing in their house. He's like, hey, can I use your house to like film my videos?
Yeah, it's incredible.
I don't think his mom even likes him.
His mom is not very proud. I don't think the water structure in the house makes him need to pee at night. I think he is just. I think he's a hack and a fraud. I think he's a hack fraud. I'm willing to go on record to say the controversial opinion that Tommy Tallarico is a fraud.
Next, Hitman 3 to become World of Assassination will include Hitman 1 and 2.
It apparently was already like that, but they've just now renamed it to be World of Assassination. Either way, that is a ton of video games.
That's a cool thing to do.
It's extremely cool. It also means, I think the one thing they did change is that all of the DLC missions from previous Hitman games are now available, like, to just play via World of Assassination. Like, you just buy the one and it gets you all 3 games plus their DLC, which is very cool.
Yeah.
But that is an absolutely staggering amount of video game. We really need to play the new Hitman games.
I probably should play Hitman.
Like the new ones, especially because they're apparently incredible, right? So I really need to take the time. But at this point, there's so much of it that it's almost daunting, right? Like it's like there's so much fucking Hitman to play now. But I mean, like, I'd like to give that a shot at some point because I like those games. I like stealth games that involve killing people in fun and creative ways, Yeah. So.
Next, good job, Internet. You bullied NFTs out of mainstream games.
Yay!
You did it!
I'm so proud of all of you.
Yay!
I'm so glad. And yet Square Enix refuses to stop bringing them up. And it's like, would you knock it off? Nobody cares. Who asked you? No, nobody's asking you for No, Square Enix.
This is proof that with enough people yelling at them, studios can and will backtrack.
That's correct, and it's extremely funny. I do think Dan Olsen should at least a little bit get like a medal that certifies him as the guy that killed NFTs. I know he didn't it wasn't entirely him, but he sure did help. Yeah. So I think we should give Dan Olsen a medal for that alone. And yeah, no, I'm very glad NFTs have essentially gone the way of just like nobody cares anymore, right? Like, yeah, they look bad and they're pointless. Even more than the bad art is the fact that they are functionally pointless and are just like they were like a harbinger of trying to monetize everything you do on the internet, and then everybody collectively went, no, we're not.
Yeah.
No.
Every single NFT bro just proves over and over again they have no idea how a video game works in any way, shape, or form, or where the value of a video game is.
Right, yeah. Because like NFT bros want video games to be like a thing you play as an investment.
Yeah. They're like, but how can I profit off of this? And it's like, you don't. You don't play it.
You play it to enjoy it. It's called entertainment.
Because every single one of them is always like, well, what happens when the game shuts down? Where does all my stuff go? It's gone. The game is over.
Yeah. The game, if you're fortunate, they'll have an offline mode. You know, there'll be video games that'll shut down, and they're like, well, we're still going to, preserve the map, and you can play it offline or something like that. It's very rare, but it happens, and then you have it. But it's like, well, then how am I supposed to show it off to people? Well, you don't.
You can't. It's over. The game it ended.
I guess you take screenshots of it and put it on your Twitter if you want. Like, that's fine. It's this notion that like not everything needs to be monetized into oblivion, bro.
Mm-hmm. But they're always like, well, if I owned it, it wouldn't matter if the game shut down. Yes, it would, because you can't use it.
Yeah, well, you think you're gonna be able to take your horse armor into Call of Duty?
Like how do you think video games are made?
Yeah, do you understand that requires like
if NFT check equals true, then put item Moonlight Greatsword into Forza Horizon.
You just duct tape the Moonlight Greatsword on top of your Jeep in Forza Horizon.
What how do you think that works? Like, how do you
Yeah.
What do you think the devs are going to do to make your NFT work from one game to another?
You understand that's like it boggles them, because like to me, right, it's the simplest thing in the world, because like these are all different companies, and so they're all using different ways to model an item. And like FromSoft are not going to put the Jeep in Elden Ring, right? Like they're not going to model the Jeep you own, the NFT Jeep you own in Forza Horizon. They're not going to put that in Elden Ring, because that would require money and labor on their part. But the very nature of NFTs means they would never, because you're the person who owns the NFT.
Right.
They would not get any of that money.
Mm-hmm.
So you're asking devs to do work to put your dumb NFT into a video game. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how video games work.
Right. And if the devs wanted to put in the effort of like, you can put this item from this game into this game, they would do it. Mm-hmm. And they would collaborate with the other company. Like, if you wanted if in FF7 Remake 2, mm-hmm. if Square Enix wanted to put Ryu's gi as a downloadable outfit for Cloud,
right,
they would just call Capcom.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, let's collaborate on this thing.
Yeah, but the thing is that then you wait until like split, because like I work in licensing. Yeah. You walk into split royalties and having to pay Capcom for that thing because they own the copyright, like they own that character. And like so that's not going to happen. They're not going to. I'm sorry. Anyway, no.
It doesn't.
It's not how video games work.
However NFT bros think video games work, it's not like that.
No, I'm sorry.
There's no conceivable notion in which that would possibly work for anyone in any capacity.
And the thing is that, really, in truth, if NFTs had taken off, it goes back to what Dan Olson said. The way they work now are bad, but the vision of the future that these guys have for the world is worse, because the way it would actually work, almost certainly, is that NFTs would be used not to allow you to gain access, but it would be used by companies to restrict access, right? Like if you don't own the Call of Duty NFT helmet, then you also can't play any other Activision. You can't unlock other stuff in other Activision games, right? Like they are the ones controlling who gets to do what via NFTs. Like you don't have any say in that, right? Like the most you can do is just not buy the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, they will always be able to overpower you in that sense, using these tokens as a means to like restrict access and force you to pay more. So like it's a good thing that NFTs died, because it prevents companies from wielding them against you to restrict access and stuff, right? Like, obviously, this seems like second nature.
Which also is a thing that no company would ever want to do in the first place, because that's how they make money.
Exactly. They're not going to pay you for the privilege of playing their game. They want you to pay them.
They want... 76 is the best example of this. Where you go to someone's house and you see, I want a cool Nuka-Cola helmet.
Right.
Where do I get it? And Bethesda goes, pay us $5.
It's crazy. It's insane to me. I'm sorry. Incredible. It's just this whole idea of these guys who think that, not to continue to quote Dan Olson, but it really is the definitive video on utterly destroying this entire, but like, these guys who think that because they're good at one complicated thing, which is programming with cryptography, that all other complicated things are less difficult in comparison, and they have no understanding. Like, they want to disrupt systems, but they have no understanding of the systems they want to disrupt, right?
Yeah. They are solutions desperate for a problem.
Exactly. That's 100% it. NFTs are just, we have a solution, we need to make a problem for it, right? So I'm glad, but it all boils down to I'm glad they're dead.
Yeah, everyone yelled at every company hard enough. They went, oh, actually, we should listen this time. Or the other action is, we're going to do NFTs. And then someone goes, do you know what NFTs are? And they go, oh, they're that? Oh, never mind. Ooh, gross.
Never mind. Oh, God, no, that's so much money.
That's not going to make us money.
Oh, no, that's just going to make us lose money. Never mind.
Ew, gross. Get it out of here. Next, PS2 emulator development ceases following death threats.
What? I didn't hear this one.
The Aether SX2 was the emulator. Apparently, just enough complaints about its progress. Let me see here. Which I can't even see why they are mad about it. Like, it's because it seems to be like this was the Aether SX2, according to this Kotaku article. Quote, prior to Aether SX2, the only viable emulation option for people who wanted to play PS2 games on their Android devices was Daemon PS2. However, folks in emulator circles appreciated having Aether as an alternative because Daemon PS2, a for-profit closed-source app, was accused of stealing source code by the team behind free open-source PS2 emulator PSX2.
Okay.
So this is like a more legit alternative.
Sure, like a free, less dummy alternative.
So, in the quote, leading up to the developer's decision to discontinue working on Aether SX2, folks on the emulation Android subreddit voiced concern over the pressure that the Aether SX2 developer dealt with, being inundated with demands from users. In a screenshotted Discord post, the Aether SX2 developer, who goes by the handle Talareth, explained why they disabled their Discord channel. According to the screenshotted post, some moron requested that they get the emulator to work on iOS. Oh,
that's just not going to happen, man.
Yeah. No.
That's just not that. Well, it's literally impossible. It's a closed garden. Like, that's not going to happen. You know.
So yeah, it was basically, here's this good legit source for Android emulation for PS2 games. But because none of you could play nice and behave yourselves, it's gone.
Right. Okay.
No
So I understand what happened here is basically like people were putting way too much pressure on one guy building an Android emulator, like an emulator, a PS2 emulator for Android.
Yeah.
And because nobody can behave themselves and be nice, he was like, "Well, fine.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys. I'm gone."
The quote from the dev is, doesn't make sense to continue working on a hobby which isn't fun anymore.
That's correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
So good work.
Good job, everyone. Pat yourselves on the back.
You need to bully corporations, not
one
guy working on a project.
Yeah, have fun. Now you have to play. You have to use the paid scummy version. So good job. Well done. Well done, guys.
Well done. You did it. We're very proud of you.
You did it. Next.
Netflix cancels Inside Job after one season. So what we're seeing, with the trend as how these streaming services are going, is that no one should ever hope to get more than 2 seasons ever from now on.
Absolutely.
Any show.
No, any show, pretty much any show that isn't like, what was the one post I saw on Twitter today? Hey, sorry that animated show you've been working on lovingly for the last 2 years got canceled after 1 season, but don't worry, if it makes you feel better, Netflix is spending a small army's country's worth of money to make sure the kids from Stranger Things still look prepubescent in season 5, right? And it's like, oh, okay.
Okay.
No. It's just like, no, you really shouldn't. At this point, they have now trapped themselves in a cancellation loop.
Yeah.
Because they'll put out a new show and nobody's going to watch it because everybody knows it's going to get canceled after 1 season, right? Like, why would I care?
Yeah.
Why would I care about Inside Job or anything like that? Because I know it's going to get canned.
Like, I can't remember the exact format that the breakdown, because one of the writers for one of these shows, I don't think it was Inside Job specifically, but it was one of the writers for a Netflix thing, like, broke down, like, how the viewing numbers work and why it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that, like, shows will get canceled after 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Like, persistently.
Yeah, because people know that there's no point to even watching it, because if you watch it, you get invested, and then you get invested, and then the show gets canceled, and you never get your answers, right? Yeah. So, like, why should anybody care?
They're like, it's like the first 10 days are the most important to get to a certain threshold of viewers. But then the drop-off happens because everyone watched it and when it first came out, and Netflix basically goes, oh, well, no one's watching it, so it's canceled now.
Right, yeah. It's crazy to me. It's just... It's a completely deranged way of making media.
There was also... Now I remember. It was that royalties kick in for streaming services. I think it's after a certain like hour count of views, because reruns don't exist anymore.
Right.
So you're not getting royalties based on reruns, which is how it used to work.
Right.
It's now on repeat viewings, so that if Netflix cancels the show within a certain amount of time, they don't have... No, it's...
Yeah.
Royalties work after a certain date, which is that 10-day limit.
Yeah.
Which is after those 10 days or whatever time period, that's when royalties kick in. So if they cancel the show before that threshold, they don't have to pay royalties anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of workarounds like that. There's a lot of... I know that the reason a lot of Netflix shows don't get like 3rd seasons, they usually, if they're lucky to get a 2nd season, they're usually canceled before the 3rd, is because that's a money thing where like the 3rd season is when people are expecting to get like, get paid more for their labor. And Netflix is like, well, if we cancel it, we don't have to pay those people that much additional money. So,
Which is also why you get things like Cuphead being broken up into half seasons. Yeah. Because it's not technically the 2nd and 3rd season. It's the 1st season broken up into 3 chunks. Right,
exactly. And it's just like, it just sucks, man. For a while there, streaming really did seem like the way to go for TV. But now that that's how it always goes, right? nothing you touch, nothing you like will remain untouched. You're fucked too, etc., etc. Once it became the dominant force, and cable was no longer able to compete. Suddenly, it's like, well, we can do whatever we want. We can fuck people over as much as we want because it's the only place to go, right?
Right.
It just sucks. It's just demoralizing, to see like cool stuff that was getting made now just cease to exist. Obviously the whole fiasco with HBO Max and just completely deleting shows from existence. The only show that gets greenlit is a fucking Scooby-Doo without Scooby-Doo show. Yeah. Because these days, the only things that get made, I think I don't remember who it was, but somebody did a Reddit AMA and like they did a reboot. It wasn't like the King of the Hill guys, but it was similar to that where they had a bunch of, it was Powerpuff Girls. It was, I think it was Craig McCracken was saying in a Reddit AMA or an interview or something like that, where it was like, yeah, we pitched unique original ideas to Netflix and Cartoon Network and HBO Max and all those guys. And they don't pick it up. Like they only want rehashes nowadays because that's, that sells off of brand recognition. So that's the only reason like, these cartoons are getting made in the way they are now. And the original ones, of course, just instantly get canceled because they don't have that brand recognition, right. And because everything like money making is so exceptionally short-sighted these like even more so than ever, basically.
It's insane.
Yeah, there's no chance for something to build steam anymore.
Yeah. We just talked about this recently when I went from watching DuckTales to Gargoyles, where I'm like, oh, this has got three 20 episode seasons versus Gargoyles, which has a 65 episode season.
65 episodes, and of course, you and I are just like, wow, I would kill for a show to have 60, like for any cartoon to get 65 episodes, right? Like
I think a lot about how like. The reason that people in our generation can quote so many things from like The Simpsons or from SpongeBob or from Ed, Edd and Eddy is because, for one thing, they've been on TV forever.
Sure.
The other thing is they've been on TV forever, which means if you turn on the TV to one of those channels, you'll probably see an episode of that show.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, the notion of just leaving something up to let people come back to it, and even if they don't come back to it for 6 months, that's totally unacceptable, right? Yeah. There's no chance for anything to slowly build steam and go from like a few views and then spread via word of mouth to get bigger the way things used to. Like shows and games used to do that all the time, and to a certain extent games especially still do. What is Undertale but not the ultimate example of that.
Yeah.
But like shows, especially where they're being hosted now, there's just no chance of that even happening, because you get your 10-day window to get as many views as you can for a show that Netflix probably won't advertise at all, right? And then if you don't hit an arbitrary number of views, you get canned, and there's no chance for it to build steam over the years via like impassioned fans or anything like that. Or the fact that like, oh, this show was small, but then a second season came out, and it's like, oh, well, I guess that was good enough to warrant a second season. I'll watch the whole first season. That's what happens a lot with video games. Like a sequel always sells better than its predecessor because like Devil May Cry 2 sold better than Devil May Cry 1, even though Devil May Cry 2 was bad, right? Because it's like, oh, well, the first one was obviously good enough to justify a sequel, so I'll try this one, And so there's none of that either, where a show gets a second season and then gets more viewers based off the fact that people are interested, like curious to the fact that it's still going and stuff like that.
Right.
It's all extremely short-sighted. Like, we have to make our money now in the first 6 months, or there's no point to it, right?
Yeah. And it's so infuriating because, and I've really come to detest the episode dump that streaming services do.
Absolutely.
Like, I hate it. The thing that I can point to that makes me hate it the most is JoJo, in which JoJo Friday was a cultural thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a big event. Everyone got excited for JoJo Friday.
Yeah.
And then Stone Ocean was just episode dumps. Here's
Yeah.
and I saw no one talk about Stone Ocean.
Yeah, because the thing is that these episode dumps are not conducive to maintaining like a fandom or maintaining a conversation.
Yeah.
Because there's no getting together with, 80,000 of your closest friends on a subreddit and getting excited for the next episode this week. The only place that you can still do that is Crunchyroll.
Right.
And I suppose that's why Disney Plus has been seeing the success it has, is because they do that. Like, they don't do episode dumps. They actually do proper weekly releases. And it works.
It's great because it keeps you coming back to it.
Absolutely. And it keeps people still talking about it, which is important.
It's really, and it's like, it makes the experience more enjoyable.
Right.
Instead of just binging the entire thing all at once.
Right, because then there's just like, everything becomes a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
Like all media is reduced to a flash in the pan via, binge culture. And it sucks. It isn't as good. I'm sorry. Like, the weekly release thing just works better. There's a reason it lasted for as long as it did, I suppose.
And there's and this just extends to, like you said, to everything. It extends to movies too. There was that big thing where Matt Damon talked about how, like, with the advent of streaming services, like, of course everything's being MCU-ified because that's the only way you can get your second wind of purchases. And
the thing is that, like, the advent of streaming services and, like, the way movies are these days, the mid-budget movie just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it can't, by nature of how the industry is shaped now. We drove it to extinction. Yeah, absolutely.
There are no, like, mid-budget kind of niche, $10 million movies. You either spent, $30 million making it, or you spent $2 million making it, right? There's nothing in the middle anymore, except for, like, the occasional, like, Bullet Train, which I haven't watched yet, and everybody says is amazing. You get your Bullet Trains every now and then, and you watch it, and you're like, this is like a movie from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, because it's from a completely different time. It's from a totally different world where, a movie like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was allowed to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, these very mid-budget small movies that could still had enough money to execute on big ideas to capture people's interest and imaginations. Like, that just doesn't exist anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, and on top of that, like, we've eliminated the idea of a bad movie.
Yeah, there can be no bad movie. Yeah, that's the thing I talk about a lot with Marvel movies, right?
Yeah.
Is that a Marvel movie will always just be kind of good.
It'll be a 5.
It wouldn't even be a 5, because a 5 is a bad movie. That's a failing grade. Like, it'll be a 7. Okay?
Yeah.
But, like, so you'll go watch it, you go, oh, that's pretty good, and then you never think of it again. And that's what they want, right? Like, producers want you to not really think about the movie too hard. Because it's just content to be consumed.
The entirety of, like, the fourth of phase 4 of Marvel, pretty much, was not to make a movie about Black Widow or about the Secret Rings or anything like that. It was to put a character in the post credits.
Yeah, everything builds, like the Eternals. Right? Everything is building toward some new thing. It's always like, well, I guess you got to come and see the next movie. Yeah. It's a TV show.
They made Shang-Chi, and, like, they made Shang-Chi so that in the last 15 seconds when the credits were over, you could see the Black Knight, and he'll be like, I'm in the next one.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's just...
And that's just how the business works now.
That's just how the business works out. Either you're getting your shit on Netflix, or you're getting it on HBO Max, where it just won't exist anymore because it was canceled in order to give some executive a fucking tax, a $13 tax break, or it's a $30 million big budget movie, right? Like there's no middle ground, like movie entertainment anymore. And to a certain extent, that's even what's happening to video games. Like you don't really see, like Jack and Daxter was a mid-budget game for its time.
Right.
And there's not a lot of those anymore either. There's a reason PlayStation 5 doesn't have any video games.
I know.
You know?
Ironically, one of the few video games it does have is a Ratchet & Clank game.
Ironic, but even that has become a big budget.
Yeah.
Spend, $150 million making the game, right?
Right.
Like, there's so few of these kind of small tier, fun little mascot games.
Yeah. The thing that I love and why Ratchet, the more I think about Rift Apart and how much I like it, and I also think this applies to like something like Doom Eternal, which is, oh god, it's a game where you can see a big thing that is hovering up and down and spinning in a circle, and you can go pick it up.
Yeah, you go pick it up. There's no contrivances about why it is the way it is. It's just your fucking objective. Go get it. It's floating. It's
a big special item, and then you pick it up, and then it's like
there's some particle effects coming off of it.
You got one of 5 secrets in this level. You're like, oh, it's like a video game.
It's just like a video game. Yeah, no, it's crazy. There's a rumor they're going to remake Horizon Zero Dawn already.
I don't want to think about that.
I don't want to think about it.
I like the Horizon franchise a lot. I really, really do. I wish they would stop making so much Horizon content.
I agree. Nobody wants your fucking Horizon VR game. Sorry.
I don't need a Horizon remake. It already still looks really good on PS5.
You can literally play the PS4 version on your PS5, guys. Come on. Next.
Excuse me, princess. An oral history on the Legend of Zelda cartoon.
Oh.
There's a neat little article that Polygon put out that is just all about the old Zelda cartoon.
Oh, that's cute.
There's some cool behind-the-scenes stuff. One of the episodes was written by one of the staff members' 16-year-old sister. Because
great.
It was one of those things where it was like, because the Zelda cartoon, if anyone doesn't know, was just filler content for the Mario Brothers cartoon. It was, we don't have time to pad an entire episode out, throw a Zelda cartoon in.
Right.
Which means no one was looking at them too closely.
Yeah, it wasn't really like, nobody was really paying attention to it. You can just kind of do whatever you want.
And this was also before, Zelda 2 was the most current game in the franchise, which means there's still a lot of open, unexplored territory for the franchise to do. And no one was looking too hard at them, and none of the people on the staff played Zelda that much.
Right.
They were just like, he's a guy named Link, he's got a sword and a shield, there's a princess and a fairy and a Triforce.
Right.
Right, we're gonna, what do we do? How do we spice this up?
Okay.
And they were like, yeah, it's just like this, this fun thing about just here we had to show Bible. Here's some ideas of what we can do to expand it. Here's our limitations, what we can't do. Things like talking about how Link wasn't allowed to actually swing his sword and hit something with it. Which is why they were like, oh, but if you have full hearts in the game, if you press the attack button, he shoots a beam. Okay, well, cool. He can just do that for the entire show. He's just shoot his beam.
Oh god, it's really giving me flashbacks to my current job, where it's the horrors of licensing, right? Where how do I say this without naming names? I had to do stuff with a children's cartoon crossing over with a sports property, let's say. And the rep from the children's cartoon was like, you can do this, but our characters cannot touch the logo or even look like they're looking at the logo for the sports property.
God, you know, and you've talked to me about this kind of stuff in private, and it's just like things that I pick up on, just like, you know, researching or reading articles about, like, you know, products and like licensing and whatnot. I want to be in the boardroom where they decide these things, you know? Like, I want, because like there's the infamous thing with the Disney Princess franchise, where it's like, you can have a lineup of all the Disney princesses, but they are not allowed to look at each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, why? What do the men in the business suits think the kids will think if Belle and Jasmine look at each other?
I also would love to know this. I would love to know this as somebody who works with these freaks and has worked with these freaks for 10 years now. And
not even necessarily to be like a judgmental thing of
no. Yeah, no, I just want to know what's going through their heads, like, right?
What is your thought process as to why you think this will in any way damage your brand?
Exactly. No, I totally understand.
That's what it's all about. It's like, we don't want anything to hurt the brand, right?
Yeah, it's all about like brand prestige or whatever the Disney term for it is. Like, they don't want the brand to look cheap. So I want you, Mr. Disneyman, to rationalize to me how you think this will lessen your brand's prestige. Yeah. Right?
What do you think the outcome will be if the cartoon character is allowed to physically touch the sports logo?
All I can think in my head is that they don't want it to look like an endorsement of the sports team by having those things interact.
Yeah, like, you want it to be like a barrier between them, so it's a sports thing, not a team association.
Yeah, right? It's very weird to me. I don't know all of it entirely, but it is very funny to me, like, having them come down from above and tell me this. I'm just like, what do you want me to do then? How am I supposed to make this art?
Yeah,
I'm like looking at my art director, like, what am I supposed to do now?
There are certain times where, like, I understand the logic, where it's like, for instance, like, for like Wreck-It Ralph, like, Nintendo had a lot of very strict guidelines for how Bowser can act in his scene, right?
Sure.
It's like, okay, yeah, you don't want your character to, like, you know, be misrepresented or act out of character, or like be the butt of a joke, you know, that you don't have any control over.
Right.
That makes sense. I get that, right?
Sure.
But it's like, what is the logic of, no, you can't have this character behind this character. They have to be in front of them.
Yeah. I wish I wish I knew.
Again, no judgment. I just want to know.
I need you to explain it to me like I am a child. Like, I need you to, like, explain your insane rationale behind it, right? I need to know. I'm sorry. I need to know. So,
Kermit the Frog cannot be shown holding only 3 fingers up.
That's right.
Like, why?
Why?
Explain, please.
We got off topic, but no.
Next, it's a fantastic article. It's just a fun little history about the cartoon, where it's one of those old late 80s, early 90s projects where, like, here's this license that none of you know anything about. I don't know, make it work.
Sure. It's like, you ever hear the story of how He-Man got the Battle Cat?
No.
Okay. This is actually a really good one. So they eventually, you know, of course, He-Man starts, like all 80s cartoons, like the Transformers, started as a toy line, and then the cartoon was made to sell the toys, right? So when they were making the He-Man toys, they all look the same. It's the same way that She-Ra is because they're all made from the same mold with like small changes made. You know, that's why every character in He-Man looks the same. But the reason He-Man has a battle cat is because they wanted him to have like some sort of like mount or, you know, like some sort of thing to also sell, like an additional thing to put in a toy pack, right? And it literally was from the toy company that they just had this tiger mold that was part of a line of children's animal toys, right?
Oh.
And the scale in comparison to He-Man was totally off because, you know, it's a larger tiger because it's meant to be like played with, like as a, you know, you hold the eagle rah with the tiger. So of course the scale is totally off, and like it's hilarious. I need to find it at some point, but it's a very funny story where they basically came to the guy and were like, well, we're going to use this. And they're like, well, how are we, you know, he's way bigger than He-Man. How are we supposed to make that work? They're like, I don't fucking care. Just put a saddle on him or something and make it work. Right? Like, that's basically the word for word. What they said was, I don't fucking care. Put a saddle on him and make him ride it or something.
That's awesome.
It's hilarious. It's so funny to me. Just like how much of this shit, like Zelda, the Zelda cartoon and stuff, is just like people just making shit up as they go to like make it work. And now they're like staples of culture, you know? Yeah. It's very funny to me.
Like the whole excuse me princess thing, according to the article, is just a bit from a Steve Martin movie.
Right. And that bit has lived longer than the Steve Martin movie ever will. Yeah. Amazing.
So yeah, just a really fun article to learn about. I love every story about when the producers aren't looking at a show anymore.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's my favorite thing in the world, right?
The Dick Tits song from Back to the Barnyard is one of the best stories ever.
Yeah, because like nobody's paying attention anymore, and we can just get away with it. Yeah.
Oh hey, Roland, what are you gonna do? Cancel us some more?
Yeah.
Okay, next, speaking of cancel, Ubisoft cancels 3 unannounced games, delays Skull and Bones again.
Did you see the most recent thing in Gorge Chat?
Yeah, update, they canceled 12 projects, actually.
I really want to read this. I want to read this quote from the update that got posted in the Gorge. Let's see. The consensus among the employees Insider Gaming talked to, though, was that the reason for delays and cancellations was that most of the games were not what gamers wanted, in quotes, which was reflected in feedback during QA and playtests. Battle Royale has been a hugely popular genre these past couple of years, and Ubisoft has seemingly been trying to capitalize on its success to no avail. One employee had said that they had known of at least a dozen Battle Royale games in various stages of development. Yeah.
Hey, Sarah?
Uh-huh.
I don't think Ubisoft's gonna last the year.
I don't think Ubisoft is gonna make it.
I think this might be the end of Ubisoft.
I am really fascinated to see such a major developer essentially collapsing on itself like this. Because, like, they have huge properties. This should be a slam dunk.
I just want to see that one Doge meme of the Doge in the Apocalypse, and it's just, hey guys, I don't think that Prince of Persia remake is going to come out anymore.
Yeah, like, you gotta think of, like, not just the big projects that Ubisoft has announced they've canceled, even though Skull and Bones is allegedly coming out, it's never coming out. But, like, Beyond Good and Evil 2 still is vapor. Skull and Bones is vapor. That Prince of Persia remake is just gone, right? It's been totally, like, obliterated from the face of the earth. Like, there are so many, like, Ubisoft has so many properties. One of the things they cite in the first article, not this most recent update, is that they can't keep up in an era of, like, big games. But they have so many huge properties, right? Like, how are you mismanaging? I didn't think it was possible to mismanage such a huge entity, I suppose, is what it comes down to, right?
Here's a quote from the article that just blows my mind. announcing the news, Ubisoft said it was facing major challenges as the industry continues to shift towards mega brands and long-lasting titles, compounded by the underperformance of recent launches, including Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope and Just Dance 2023. How do you fuck up selling a Mario game and a Just Dance game?
I don't know. It's very... And I mean, I suppose part of it is that, like, the novelty of both of those games is way over, right? Mm-hmm. Like, those... Like, they were really leaning on these games that both of their formats and kind of what was charming about them have severely kind of gone the way of the dodo, right? And so... That to me just speaks additionally to the mismanagement of the entire company, that they had so much of their hopes riding on a B-tier Nintendo spin-off and a dance game in 2023, right? Like, a huge portion of your sales not coming through, like, a big disappointment is that a dance game underperformed in 2023. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I suppose in 2022, but it's called, Just Dance 2023. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, that is a huge blow to you, that such a mid-tier game didn't do well. Like, that alone is just like, oh, you guys are in trouble. Like, you're in big trouble. I see. Okay.
I seriously do not think Ubisoft is going to last much longer. I think
it might make it through the year, but like...
I think we're going to see them selling off some of their licenses. Like,
absolutely.
Like Far Cry.
Well, it's very honestly, because like, so I don't know if it's in the docket, but I'm going to bring it up here. The European Union filed to block the Activision Blizzard merger in...
Yes, that is Europe. On the docket.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about it now.
Yeah.
Because, and it's also the, shit, I forgot, I'm totally blanking on the name of the board here in the United States, but the federal government is also examining to block the Activision Blizzard, the Activ Blizz Microsoft merger here in the United States as well, right? So there's an extremely high possibility that this doesn't go through, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if this doesn't go through, Microsoft is going to lick its wounds, probably by buying up a shit ton of Ubisoft properties.
I would not be
surprised.
Yeah.
Like, I would not be surprised one bit if Ubisoft has, begun to sink after years and years of mismanagement, and Microsoft just swoops in and is like, well, we're going to buy Far Cry, we're going to buy Assassin's Creed, we're going to buy Rainbow Six,
I'm just picturing the ego blow that is the FTC being like, no, you cannot, we are blocking the merger of these major companies, Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft. But you can buy Ubisoft.
You are allowed to purchase Ubisoft. They do not constitute enough of gaming pie to allow you to have a monopoly. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it was just that, like, Ubisoft was just like, we're just selling licenses now. We'll sell it to Sony. We'll sell it to Microsoft. We'll sell it to Nintendo. We'll sell it to, the Amico and television, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and then Tommy Tallarico can be like, I invented Rayman.
That's right. Tommy Tallarico will show up and be like, Rayman is my son and I made him. And we'll be like, shut up, Tommy, get out of here. But yeah, no, totally. Like, there's a huge possibility, like, within the next, 2 years, let's say, that Sony owns Assassin's Creed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's an easy win for Sony to just buy Assassin's Creed and then make it console exclusive. God knows they need the video games.
Just now I'm just picturing like Sony buying Assassin's Creed and then being like, "Hey, Insomniac, catch!"
You want to make another open world game? They're like, "Thanks, boss, but we sure do have a lot on our plate right now. Too bad." Okay.
Just reskin Spider-Man and sell it. It's fine. No one will notice.
Why is Ezio suddenly swinging between buildings? Don't worry about it. Oh God, yeah, no, it's folks is bad. Folks is real bad at Ubisoft.
It's real bad for Ubisoft.
It is really stunning to me. I mean, I just can't even wrap my head around a company as big as Ubisoft just being so disorganized, just not knowing what they're doing. Right?
They're getting left behind.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have not evolved with the changing of the industry,
and it's like,
and not in a good way,
and not in a good way, and it's really through no fault of their competitors. It's not like their competitors blindside them or anything like that. It's just that, I mean, well, they have an extremely toxic work culture. So, I mean, this is really, if you think about it, this is you can really see in Ubisoft better than anywhere the consequences of brain drain, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When all of your talent is like, well, I don't have to work here. I can go work anywhere else. And then they pack up and leave, and you're just left with a bunch of assholes who don't know how to make video game good. The whole company starts to fall apart as a result. It's actually really interesting. It's a really good example of brain drain here in the open, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, please look forward to Microsoft making the next Far Cry game.
Yeah, that'll probably happen.
Mm-hmm.
Here, Obsidian, this is for you.
Really? Oh fuck, not another one.
just the idea of going to Microsoft and Sony going to the Ubisoft yard sale and just being like all their second party studios being like, oh, Insomniac would love this.
You know, just standing there, haggling the price down for Assassin's Creed. Like, I'll give you $1.50 of it. Man, it says $5 on the tag. Yeah, but you really need to get rid of it, don't you? And they're like, $1.75, fine.
I'm just picturing Mario being like, psst, Rayman, over here, quick, while they're not looking.
And then Nintendo just buys Rayman and just makes a new Rayman game with no rabbits in it whatsoever. Yeah. And everyone's like, fuck, you can just do that?
What?
Huh?
Well,
that's so possible. Shit.
Speaking of a Rayman game with no rabbits in it.
Oh.
Rayman 4 leaks explained.
What?
So, a bunch of stuff from the original version of the Raving Rabbids game, back when it was Rayman and the Raving Rabbids.
Right.
Got leaked. A bunch of code and screenshots and dev tools got leaked out. And yeah, it was just going to be a regular Rayman 3D platformer with the Rabbids as the standard enemy for it.
Sure, man. Remember when? Oh, God.
So yeah, just screenshots and general cool info about what the game could have been. And it's just it's weird, kind of nowadays seeing the Rabbids alongside Rayman and just being general enemies.
Yeah, instead of just being the total the thing that dominated the franchise.
Yeah, these horrible mascots. And yeah, the next time Rayman will show up in anything will be DLC for Mario plus Rabbids.
Yeah, that's correct.
Which, I mean, I'm glad he's going to be in it, because apparently Sparks of Hope is actually really good.
Oh, good. That's nice.
But yeah, I feel bad for him. I really like Rayman.
Yeah, that's a real shame that it's just kind of been relegated. The main character of the franchise being relegated to cameo DLC.
Mm-hmm.
That's rough.
Yeah, he didn't even get to be in Smash besides a spirit.
Yeah. Oof.
We already talked a little bit about it, but yeah, Google, Nvidia expressed concerns to FTC about Microsoft Activision deal.
Mm-hmm.
So another blow to that deal.
Yeah.
Along with the EU being maybe not do that.
The EU is objecting to it. Google and Nvidia, the FTC, this is becoming increasingly fraught, and I don't know. I guess with Microsoft, you do just double down at this point. God, I know they have the thing about Microsoft, and I think I've said this here before, they have infinite money.
They do.
Is the thing. Microsoft probably more so than anybody else on the planet, has like literal infinite money.
Yeah, they can wait this out.
They can absolutely wait. The question is, do they?
It's not a matter of we're going to run out of money to do this, so it's not viable for us anymore. It'll be, this has gone on too long that the outside world has made it not worth our effort anymore.
Right. And the question is also, Microsoft can keep this up, but I wonder kind of what this is doing over at Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
Because like they still have Call of Duty money, and they still got like Overwatch money and stuff like that for sure. But that's not, the most used operating system in the world money.
Right.
Like I wonder how long they can wait it out, Every
time something new from Microsoft, from Activision Blizzard pops up, it's just a little dirty. It's still good. It's still good. It's just a little waterlogged. It's still good. It's still good.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't look at it. It's fine. Don't pay attention to it. It's fine. Everything will work itself out in the wash.
Yeah.
Bobby Kotick is still just desperately trying to sell this company as like a used car salesman out in the rain, and the car is being pelted by hail. And it's like, no, you still want to buy this car. And it's like, but do I, Bobby? Do I? So it's getting spicier and spicier for Microsoft every single day.
Yeah, it is slowly becoming less and less worth Microsoft's time to keep this going.
Now, of course, they might just keep it going out of spite so that they can have a larger market share. We'll see.
And maybe when they buy Splinter Cell from Ubisoft,
I mean, it really could come out that if Microsoft is allowed to purchase Activision Blizzard finally in 10 years, I wonder if that does mean that Sony will respond just by, as Ubisoft, digs itself deeper into this hole. I totally could see Sony responding with like, well, we're going to buy Ubisoft for a song, because they're just so desperate to get rid of like all of their problems. They probably would sell for next to nothing. It's just, God, anything to renegotiate that deal with Skull and Bones and the government of Singapore, right?
Before the Singapore government breaks our knees. Can someone please buy us?
Oh God, someone please help.
Just Ubisoft pounding on Sony's door like, they're coming, please let me in.
No, you're infected! No, please let me in!
Come on, guys, it's just like The Division. Remember we made The Division? It's like this is happening in real life.
Did you want a games as a service, Sony? We've got so many games as a service. Actually, you know what? Saying that out loud now with my human mouth, I'm like, oh, but Sony really would buy Ubisoft because they really want a bunch of games as a service shit, right?
Yeah, and they can afford for them to fail.
Yeah, and they can just scoop. They can. I mean, there's a shit ton of like easily sold games as a service brands right there, because you've got The Division and Rainbow Six, and like you could even do like an Assassin's Creed sort of thing. Like you've got so many. Oh fuck. Oh shit! I actually could see that happening now.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. Ugh.
Wait until next wrap up, where we'll be like, well, it turns out Sony's buying Ubisoft.
Well, see you guys at the end of the month.
Oh, God. Next, here are the record-breaking speedruns from Awesome Games Done Quick 2023.
Were there some world records broken?
Yeah, 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. New records for TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Mm-hmm. In the co-op category at 56 minutes and 18 seconds. Any percent for Mario was beaten by Benjus 4 and Paul Knives. Mm-hmm. I'm Jay broke the world record for any percent of Mario Galaxy 2 in 3 hours, 3 minutes, and 56 seconds.
Okay.
And then Crack Attack beat with 18 minutes and 16 seconds, set a new world record for Steven Seagal is the final option. So maybe not
Okay.
necessarily as competitive a category.
Not quite as prestigious.
As, say, a brand new game that came out last year and Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
And then a 6-player world record. So I guess this was a relay competition between Emerlin, Bullets, Big Law, Enigma Requiem, Angelic Knight, and Acadiel in 18 minutes and 29 seconds for Power Wash Simulator. So
I didn't even think that was an option.
Yeah.
I like when so like Power Wash Simulator, especially being a speed game, is very funny to me because Power Wash Simulator is like a relaxation game, right? Like the whole point is that you power wash things and you get them clean, you know, and you're like, oh, that's nice. And, you know, it's like, satisfying. It's kind of like cleaning up a settlement in Fallout 4.
Right.
You just do it to kind of like veg out and chill, ostensibly. It's not really like, it's not meant to be done quickly, I suppose, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So it's always very funny when people turn it into a speed game, right? Like,
what if we made this stressful?
What if we made this game that was meant to be like a de-stressor? What if you had to like look up strats on how to power wash your driveway? It's like, okay, sure. I'm sure Square Enix is very proud.
But yeah, so it's rare to get a world record at GDQ just by nature of the event.
Sure.
But to get 4 in one event is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And then finally, this just happened today.
Ooh.
Arknight's publisher issues cease and desist to NFT game Oldeus over plagiarism concerns.
I saw this one. This one is extremely funny.
Yeah.
So it's an NFT game that wholesale just traced over an Arknight's cutscene, like, completely. It's like, what did you
think would happen?
What did you think was going to happen, guys? Did you think nobody was going to notice? Like, Arknights is a really big gacha game. A ton of people. It's not for me.
No.
But like a ton of people play Arknights.
People are gonna notice. It's the thing about tracing and stealing like videos like this is that it's really easy to tell because it's the same thing that you traced over.
Yeah. Like
it's actually
it's really obvious.
Like, you can really tell when someone traced something because it looks the same.
It's like way more obvious in animated form than like I think this person traced over a drawing, right?
Right.
Because like the timing and the motions and stuff in animation, you can just play those two next to each other or on top of each other, and it's like, oh, well, this is super obvious, right?
Right. It's like how that one fight in the Cowboy Bebop movie was reused for Naruto.
Yeah, and that wasn't. But
that
like
wasn't plagiarism.
That was an homage. Yeah.
But it's like we could see that it was an homage because it was the same thing as from the other thing.
Yeah, it was the same thing from the other thing, but like, unlike straight up tracing and plagiarism, there are slight differences, right?
and also, the intent for that was we wanted this to look like the thing. We wanted you to notice that it's a homage to the other thing.
Right. We like the train fight scene in Cowboy Bebop the movie, so we're going to visually reference it. It's like, okay, that's cool.
we can see that because it's the same,
right?
So when you trace something, you won't get away with it because we can see that it's the same,
and it's very, very easy to tell. Do you understand?
Do you get the problem with why tracing never works?
Oh my god!
I mean,
It's
probably not, because you're NFT company,
NFT
which
guys,
means you don't understand how anything in the world operates.
No, yeah, that's the thing, is that they're probably like, well, it's on the chain now, so it's fine, right?
It's totally okay. I mean, you think a bunch of randomly generated monkeys constitutes art, so
yeah, you think that has value. So
you don't understand how anything operates in the real world.
Right. No, absolutely not. So, but no, they were hit with a big fat cease and desist. So they're in trouble.
Yeah.
Very, very funny to me. I didn't even know Arknights had cutscenes, mind you.
I did not. I don't know anything about Arknights. I keep thinking it's an abbreviation for Arkham Knight.
No, that's something different. That would be a very funny crossover, though. Arknights is, if I'm remembering correctly, it's the post-apocalyptic one where everybody has become like animal hybrid things. It has a really cool art style and like really, really good character design. That's the thing about Arknights, is that it has an extremely cohesive art style and character design sensibility, and it's all like everybody wears like cool tech wear and shit, Oh,
I've seen these designs around. Yeah. Okay.
They're really good. It's just that the gameplay is like a tower defense, and it's not really like my thing.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like very popular and has really good art and a lot of money for lawyers is the thing.
So, just maybe think a little bit first.
No, NFT guys don't think, Ben.
You're
That's
right.
very bold of you to assume.
You're right.
So, but yeah, no. I like ending the podcast on NFT guys failing. That's good. So. Okay, we good?
Yep, I think that's about all I have here.
Good. Glad to be back.
Yeah. So yeah, good start to 2023, and we will do. We got our
next week.
Yeah, we've got Neon White, and it'll be fun. Thank you to DJ Cutman for your background music. You can follow me on Twitter at thegorgepodcast. You can follow Sara at radioinactivity. You can email us at thegorgepodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to listen to Sarah's other podcast, you can listen to it.
Well, currently I'm not in this block because I'm taking a break, but I am in another podcast usually called Big Gay Nerds, where me and a bunch of cool queer friends get together when we play tabletop games. We always cycle through lots of different systems. There's obviously different players kind of come and go. It's fun, so that's kind of like, if you don't like a certain block, maybe listen to something else and you'll find something that strikes your fancy. Right now, the rest of the gang is playing Henshin, a game about being basically like, tokusatsu Kamen Rider kind of guys.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a really cool one. I've been hearing everybody talk about their character concepts, and it seems like a lot of fun. So we're Big Gay Nerds, wherever you get your podcasts, and that's also our name on social media. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it for us.
Yeah, fuck Netflix.
Yeah, fuck Netflix. Like the more this keeps happening, like, people are just gonna not care about anything anymore.
It is really dire how much like Netflix ultimately became like the harbinger of kind of so much cultural devastation. I know that's very dramatic.
It's a bleak way to put it, but yeah, no, like, it is the way media is presented now is not conducive to lasting long and to creating any kind of impact.
Right. And it's that way by design. Like,
people,
obviously the people in charge of these companies want media to be like flimsy and transient so that you won't like fixating on a certain fandom it doesn't cohere to this idea of moving on to the next thing and spending your money on something else, right? Staying fixated on a single series does not lend itself to just going out and buying something new. Like, they want you keep these execs want you to keep buying new shit over and over again, right?
Right.
So, it's meant to be fleeting.
We do not have anything that is the new Simpsons or the new SpongeBob.
No,
which
not even
is
a little bit.
Kind of a good thing in that we don't have anything that lasts for 30 years and outstays its welcome.
Sure.
But, we don't have...
But, like, there is something...
that we don't have anything that's, like, that, like, lasts for a long time like that.
Yeah, there's no, like, cultural touchstone either.
Yeah.
Right? And that's also bad. Even if, like, a show like The Simpsons or whatever, SpongeBob, The Simpsons, even if they've kind of overstayed their welcome, they are also kind of like a unifying cultural thing. Like, and I mean, that's silly for a cartoon, but I think that kind of stuff is important because it gives people like extremely easy things to bond over.
Yeah. I mean, media is important in that sense where it's like, yeah, you want something that that no matter what happens, you can say a quote from and someone will get it.
Right, exactly. Like that stuff, art, like that's the whole purpose of art in general, is to be shared and experienced with other people, and then you bond over your shared experiences with those stories. And as, media fractionalizes out in all of these different directions more and more, and nothing is allowed to kind of persist or remain long term because we want to keep selling you more and more, transient, flimsy crap, you lose like these kind of cultural experiences to bond over. Anyways, that's why Avatar does extremely well, because it is that one thing. Even though like nobody talks about it, I will give it that. I will give it that one thing, is that Avatar is like a weird cultural touchstone. Just because like people don't make fan fiction about it doesn't make it not a cultural touchstone.
Right.
Like, it's just a movie that normal people watch, guys.
Yeah.
Like, I love making fun of Avatar, but also like it's just an action movie that normal people watch. People also didn't make fan fiction for Jaws. I mean, I'm sure they did, but there wasn't a lot of it.
Right.
Like,
I just, this is going overboard, but like I think about how like there's no show that kids will say I grew up with anymore.
Yeah, it's very weird right now. We're in a very strange kind of period where there is no like universal thing for like a new generation to kind of bond over. And like I think that kind of thing is kind of in like at least a little bit important.
Yeah,
because it gives you like if anything, it just gives you a way to talk to a stranger.
Yeah,
right.
I think about how like the stuff that we grew up with, and this is not me being like, well, cartoons are better when I was a kid. No, but it's like I grew up because they lasted that long.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly.
Like I had shows that would last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years growing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't get that anymore. And also you can't just turn it on and like whatever's on in that time slot is what you're watching, which is why we can quote these shows so easily, is because you watch those episodes over and over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if kids, besides like really little kids who don't care as long as the show is on.
Sure.
Like I don't know if kids in elementary school or in junior high are watching shows over and over again.
I think they're all still just watching SpongeBob like the rest of us.
Yeah, like but like are they watching other cartoons? Like are they just pulling up the episodes on whatever streaming service to like watch them on repeat?
I don't know. I don't know the habits of children.
Like, or is it all a one and done? Like, oh yeah, it's over. There's no more of it for me to watch.
I don't know. It's very weird to me. It's a very strange time in culture, especially as this whole, thing with HBO Max and stuff, where it's like, well, we're just also going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to say, so that one asshole can get a tiny tax break. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's bleak.
We have so many golden geese.
Yeah. We have so many golden geese. We're going to slaughter every single one of them.
We can get all the gold now.
Yeah. All we have to do is kill this golden goose. What do you mean? What do you mean eggs? Don't worry about the eggs.
No,
it's fine.
The gold is right here.
Yeah. That's a bleak way to end this episode.
Yep. Good night, everyone.
See you next week, everyone. Good night.
Good night.